Imagine a biological engine. I'm not talking about a machine made of, steel and pistons and spark plugs. I'm talking about a living, breathing, photosynthesizing entity that covers an entire subcontinent. We are talking about a land so vibrant, so teeming with life, that it's actually technically classified as one of the world's 12 mega biodiversity countries.
That's just a staggering designation, really. When you think about the size of the entire planet, being in that top 12 is its elite status. It really puts India in the absolute top tier of the planet's life support systems.
Exactly. And we aren't just talking about a few nice parks where you might see a squirrel or a pigeon. No, we're talking about 47,000 different plant species. 47,000. That puts this land in the 10th spot globally and 4th in all of Asia. And for animals, 90,000 species. From the microscopic insects to the majestic elephants, and this massive variety of fish in both fresh and marine waters.
It is so vibrant. But what really matters for us today, especially for our focus, is that it's also a system. It's not just some random collection of trees and animals sewn together by chance. It's a highly organized map, and it's defined by things like climate, geography, and relief.
And that is exactly why we are here. Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are deploying a very, very specific lens. We are looking at this green map of India, its vegetation, its wildlife, but we are doing it with a mission. This is a special UPSC-focused deep dive.
That's right. So we aren't just admiring the view, as beautiful as it is. We are analyzing it for the examination. We need to understand the mechanics of why a tiger is in Bengal, but a lion is in Gujarat, and more importantly, how the UPSC actually tests that knowledge.
Absolutely. But before we trek into this jungle, I have a humble request for all you dedicated learners out there. To help you retain this massive amount of information and, honestly, to keep this channel going, please subscribe to Simplified UPSC by PPP on YouTube. It really helps the algorithm find other serious aspirants like you.
It really does. And if you are capable and you find real value in this kind of deep analysis, please consider supporting us on Patreon. That support allows us to keep creating this super useful, research-heavy content without cutting any corners. Your support literally keeps the lights on and the research going.
And a massive warm shout out to all our current supporters. You guys are the real backbone of this project. We literally couldn't do this without you. Also, please smash that like button and leave a comment. Tell us what part of the deep dive really clicked for you.
Oh, and for the resources, we've got free notes with practice previous year questions or PYQs available on our public Telegram channel.
And for those of you who want the fully organized experience, we're talking access to all the videos in this series, the detailed premium notes, extra PYQs, and model mains answers. You'll want to join our private Telegram library. Just DM us on the public Telegram channel to get the instructions for joining. Okay, business aside, let's get to the mission. Today, we are cracking open the NCERT Class 9 Geography Chapter 5, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. But we aren't just reading it. That would be boring, and you can do that on your own. We are layering it with actual UPSC prelims and mains questions. We've got source files here like 13 CSP1, 20 CSP1, and the 25 Gs1 mains paper to see how the exam actually tests the stuff.
It's really the best way to learn. You take the raw information from the NCERT and you immediately apply it to the, let's call it the matrix of the examination. It turns raw data into actual strategy.
I am so ready for this jungle safari. Where do we even start with something this diverse?
Well, before we can even look at the trees, we have to look at the architects. We need to understand the systematic pattern that decides why a tree grows in Kerala but not in Rajasthan. And it all starts with definitions. We need to distinguish between flora and fauna.
Okay, let's unpack this. Flora and fauna. It sounds a bit like a pair of eccentric ants, doesn't it?
It does, a little bit, but in geography, they are the foundational terms. Flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. It's the collective plant life. So when we say the flora of India, we mean everything that's green. Fauna, on the other hand, refers to the species of animals. But the key term for us today, and this is where the UPSC often sets traps, is natural vegetation.
Is there such a thing as unnatural vegetation? That sounds like plastic trees.
Well, in a technical sense, yes, there is. The NCERT is very, very specific here. Natural vegetation refers to a plant community that has grown naturally, without human aid, and it's been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. They call this virgin vegetation.
Virgin vegetation. Okay, so let's apply a test here. If I plant a really nice mango orchard in my backyard and I water it and I prune it and it grows huge, is that natural vegetation?
Nope. That is vegetation, absolutely. It's crops, it's fruit, it's an orchard. But it is not natural vegetation. Why? Because it had human aid. This is a really subtle trap in definitions. You have to ask, did nature build this, or did a farmer? If a human hand touched it to help it grow, it loses that natural tag, at least in this specific geographic context.
And I see that within that virgin vegetation, the source mentions another split based on origin.
Correct. So if the virgin vegetation is purely Indian, originally from here, it's called endemic or indigenous species.
And if it came from outside, like say someone brought a plant from South America ages ago, or it migrated over centuries.
Then it's termed as an exotic plant. So
Yeah.
when you look at a forest, you're really asking two questions. Did humans plant this?
Mhm.
And is it from around here?
Got it. So we know what it is. Now let's talk about location, location, location. What decides where these virgin forests actually grow? Why isn't the whole country just one big rainforest or one big desert?
It comes down to two main pillars, relief and climate. Think of relief as the stage and climate as the lighting and the special effects. Let's start with relief, which, basically means the land itself. You have land and soil.
Land seems pretty obvious. Plants grow on land. How complex can it be?
Well, it's about the character of the land. The land affects natural vegetation, both directly and indirectly. Think about it. Would you expect to see the same kind of vegetation in a rugged, rocky, mountainous region as you would on a flat, fertile plain?
Probably not. The mountains are rocky. The plains are usually where we grow stuff like wheat and rice.
Exactly. The nature of the land influences the vegetation type. Generally, fertile, level land is devoted to agriculture. Humans take that over because it's just easy to farm. But the undulating and rough terrains, places that are hilly, uneven, or rocky, those are the areas where you get grasslands and woodlands developing. That's where nature sort of holds its ground because humans find it a lot harder to exploit.
And what about underneath all that? The soil.
Soil is the nutrient bank. Different places have different soils, and that totally dictates the kind of vegetation you'll find. The sandy soils of the desert, for instance, they support cactus and thorny bushes. Why? Because they don't hold water well, so only plants that can hoard water can survive. But if you go to wet, marshy, deltaic soils like where the Ganga meets the sea, you get mangroves and deltaic vegetation.
And I'm guessing the hills have different soil too.
Yep. The hill slopes usually have some depth of soil, but it's kind of conical. And that supports conical trees, the pines and firs. So the soil literally shapes the root systems and the tree shapes. If you've got deep alluvial soil, you get big, broad trees. If you've got thin, rocky soil, you get these hardy pines.
Okay, so that's the stage, the relief. Now let's talk about the engine. Climate. This feels like the big boss.
Oh, climate is the driver. And it breaks down into three main components: temperature, photoperiod, and precipitation.
Photoperiod? That sounds like a photography class.
It does sound technical, but it's actually very intuitive. It just refers to sunlight, specifically the duration of sunlight.
But let's stick with temperature first. The NCERT has this fascinating vegetation zones table that correlates temperature with vegetation types. It's like a hierarchy. Can you walk us through the zones?
Of course. Imagine you are standing at sea level, somewhere near the equator. That is the tropical zone. Here, the mean annual temperature is above 24 degrees Celsius. And crucially, the average temperature in January, the coldest month, is still above 18 degrees.
And frost.
No frost. Never. That's the definition of tropical here. This is why you see coconut palms and lush greenery. They simply cannot handle freezing temperatures. Then, as it gets a bit cooler, you move into the subtropical zone. That's about 17 to 24 degrees mean annual temperature. Frost is rare there, but it's possible.
Find colder still.
Temperate. Now we're at 7 to 17 degrees. Here you get frost and you get some snow. Think of the mid-Himalayas. And finally, you get to the alpine zone. This is below 7 degrees Celsius. Winter temperatures drop below -1. Here, snow is a regular feature.
So as the temperature drops, the vegetation changes from that lush tropical stuff to the really hardy alpine stuff.
Precisely. And this drop in temperature, it happens in two ways. Either you're moving away from the equator, that's latitude, or you're moving up a mountain, that's altitude. That's why these high mountains in the tropics can have alpine vegetation at the very top. You can have a tropical base and a snowy peak on the exact same mountain. It's like traveling thousands of miles north, but you're just climbing vertically.
That makes perfect sense. Now, back to that photoperiod thing. Sunlight.
Oh.
Why does the duration matter so much?
It's simple biology, really. Trees are solar-powered. The variation in the duration of sunlight is because of latitude, altitude, the season, and the length of the day. Trees grow faster in summer. Why? Because the days are longer. More light means more time for photosynthesis. It's that simple. This is why during the summer monsoon months, when it's warm and there's lots of light, you see this explosion of growth.
So areas with longer sunny days just get more biomass.
Generally, yeah. But sunlight needs a partner. You can have all the sun in the world, but if you don't have water, you just get a desert. So precipitation is the other massive factor.
The rain.
The rain. In India, almost the entire rainfall is brought in by the advancing southwest monsoon from June to September and the retreating northeast monsoons. And areas of heavy rainfall have much more dense vegetation. It's a direct correlation. More water, more green.
Speaking of rain and mountains, I remember reading a question in the source material, one of those classic geography reasoning questions you see in exams. It asked, why are the southern slopes in the Himalayan region covered with thick vegetation cover as compared to the northern slopes? That seems a bit counterintuitive. Aren't they both just mountains?
This is a classic geography question, and it connects all these factors: relief, rainfall, and insolation, which is sunlight. The southern slopes of the Himalayas face India. They receive the full blast of the advancing southwest monsoon. They are the windward side.
So they catch all the rain first.
Exactly. And the northern slopes, they face Tibet. They're in what's called a rain shadow. They receive much, much less moisture because the mountains literally block the clouds. Plus, there's the sunlight angle. The southern slopes get more direct sunlight because of the angle of the sun. So you have more rain plus more sun, and that equals thicker vegetation. The northern slopes are just drier and colder, so the vegetation is sparse.
That is a perfect example of how relief and climate work together. It's not just one factor, it's the combination of all of them.
It is. And this whole system forms what we call an ecosystem. Plants and animals are interdependent. They interact with each other and their physical environment. But, and this is the sad part that the text mentioned, humans are part of this ecosystem too, and we are often the ones who disrupt it.
Yeah, I saw a mains question in the source, 25G's 1, question 19. It talks about achieving sustainable growth with emphasis on environmental protection could come into conflict with poor people's needs.
That is the core conflict of modern development. We need the ecosystem for our long-term survival. It regulates the climate, controls erosion, provides water. But people need resources right now. When we cut down forests for agriculture or industry, we aren't just losing trees. We're breaking the energy flow of the entire ecosystem. We're altering the map. When you alter the map, you change the weather, the soil stability, and the water table.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit. We've built the house, the relief and climate. Now let's look at the furniture, the specific types of vegetation. The NCERT lists 5 major types.
Right. We have tropical evergreen, tropical deciduous, tropical thorn and scrubs, montane forests, and mangrove forests.
Let's dive into the first one, the heavy hitters, the tropical evergreen forests, otherwise known as rainforests.
These are the powerhouses. They're found in areas with extremely heavy rainfall, more than 200 centimeters per year, and a very short dry season. It's basically warm and wet all year round. Think Western Ghats, the island groups of Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar, and the upper parts of Assam.
And because it's always warm and wet, do the trees ever really stop growing?
Not really, no. And crucially, there is no definite time for trees to shed their leaves. In other forests, trees go bald in winter or summer to save water. Here, since there's plenty of water, different trees shed their leaves at different times. So the forest as a whole always appears green.
Hence, evergreen. And these trees are huge, right? I'm picturing giants.
Enormous. They can reach up to 60 meters or even higher. And it's a multi-layered structure. You've got shrubs at the bottom, then creepers climbing up, then young trees, then the main canopy, and finally the emergent layer that pokes out at the top. It's like a vertical city of plants. It is so dense that sometimes sunlight doesn't even reach the ground.
What kind of residents do we have in this green city?
Commercially important trees include ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber, and cinchona.
Wait, rubber and cinchona. Those sound familiar. That has to be an exam question.
It should be. Look at the PYQ drill from the source exercises. Question 1 asks specifically, to which one of the following types of vegetation does rubber belong to? And the answer is tropical evergreen. Rubber needs that constant moisture. It originated in the Amazon basin, which is the ultimate evergreen forest, and it thrives in places like Kerala.
And cinchona.
Another question asked about cinchona. It says it requires rainfall of more than 100 centimeters. In reality, cinchona loves these wet, humid areas, and it's historically so significant. Cinchona bark is where we get quinine from, the anti-malarial drug. Before synthetic drugs, this tree was the only thing standing between humans and malaria.
So the rainforest is also a pharmacy. And the animals.
You'll find elephants, monkeys, lemurs, and deer. And here's a very specific connection to the map, the one-horned rhinoceros. The text specifically places them in the jungles of Assam and West Bengal. These areas have those swampy, wet conditions that are often associated with the edges of these evergreen zones.
Okay, moving on. If Evergreen is the intense crowded city, what is the tropical deciduous forest?
This is the suburbia of Indian forests. It is, by far, the most widespread forest type in India. If you look at a vegetation map of India, this is the dominant color. They're also called monsoon forests.
And the rainfall requirements are a bit less.
A bit less, yeah, between 70 centimeters and 200 centimeters. So less than the rainforests, but still pretty significant.
But they don't stay green all year, right? That's the key difference.
No, they don't. The trees here shed their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in the dry summer. It's a survival mechanism. They drop the leaves to stop water loss through transpiration. If they kept their big leaves during the dry, hot summer, they'd just dry out and die, so they go dormant for a while.
Now, the source makes a distinction here between moist and dry deciduous. That seems like a pretty fine line.
It's a line drawn by rainfall. Moist deciduous forests are in the 100 to 200 centimeter range. You find these in the northeastern states, the foothills of the Himalayas, Jharkhand, West Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and the eastern slopes of the Western Ghats.
Eastern slopes. Ah, of course, because the western slopes are the evergreen ones facing the rain.
Exactly. You're connecting the dots. The windward side gets the heavy rain, so it's evergreen. The leeward or interior side gets slightly less, so it's moist deciduous. The dominant species here is teak. Teak is the king of timber in these forests. Also sal, shisham, sandalwood, care, kusum, arjun, and mulberry.
And the dry deciduous.
That's where the rainfall is between 70 and 100 centimeters. These are in the rainier parts of the peninsular plateau and the plains of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. These represent a transition. You see more open stretches. Teak, sal, peepal, and neem grow here. But sadly, a huge part of this region has been cleared for cultivation or used for grazing. This is the heartland of India's agriculture, so the natural forest is very fragmented.
The animals here seem like the classic Jungle Book cast.
They really are. Lion, tiger, pig, deer, and elephant. Plus a huge variety of birds and reptiles. This is the kind of forest where you can actually see far enough to spot a tiger, unlike the dense evergreen where your visibility is almost zero.
Okay, let's keep moving that rainfall slider down. What happens when we get below 70 centimeters?
We enter the danger zone for plants. We get to the thorn forests and scrubs. This is northwestern India, places like Gujarat, Rajasthan, parts of Haryana.
The desert and semi-desert regions, how do plants even survive here?
Adaptation. And the expert analysis here is fascinating. The trees are scattered. They have these incredibly long roots that penetrate deep into the soil to find moisture, sometimes going down dozens of feet. Their stems are succulent, juicy to conserve water. And the leaves are often modified into spines or are very thick and small to minimize evaporation.
It's basically a survivalist camp for plants. Every single feature is designed to hoard water.
It is. You find acacias, palms, euphorbias, and cacti. It's a harsh landscape, but life always finds a way.
And the wildlife must be just as tough.
Absolutely. Camels, obviously, but also the wild ass, which is specific to the Rann of Kutch. You also have rats, mice, rabbits, fox, wolf, and yes, tigers and lions can be found in the scrublands that border these dry areas. It's a rugged life out there for everyone.
Next up, we have a type that isn't defined by rainfall, but by height. The montane forests.
The vertical gradient. This is my favorite because you can see the whole world in one mountain range. In mountainous areas, the decrease in temperature with increasing altitude leads to this corresponding change in natural vegetation. It's literally like traveling from the equator to the poles, but you're just walking up a mountain.
Okay, walk us up. We start at the bottom.
Between 1,000 and 2,000 meters, you get wet temperate forests. These are evergreen broadleaf trees like oaks and chestnuts. It feels a bit like a European forest. It's cool, mossy, and dense.
Okay, keep climbing.
Between 1,500 and 3,000 meters, you hit the temperate forests containing coniferous trees. Pine, deodar, silver fir, spruce, cedar. You find these on the southern slopes of the Himalayas and high-altitude areas in southern and northeast India. These are your classic Christmas tree forests. The leaves are needle-shaped to help shed snow.
And if we go really, really high, like mountaineering high?
Above 3,600 meters, the temperate forests give way to alpine vegetation. Silver fir, junipers, pines, birches. But eventually, as you approach the snow line, even these get stunted. They kind of merge into alpine grasslands. These are those beautiful meadows you see in high-altitude trekking photos.
And then, after the meadows?
Then you hit the tundra phase. Just mosses and lichens. That's it. Life clinging to the rock.
Is there any human activity up there? It seems so remote.
Surprisingly, yes. These grasslands are used extensively for grazing by nomadic tribes like the Gujars and the Bakrowals. They migrate up in the summer and down in the winter. It's a practice called transhumance.
And the animals, they must be incredibly tough to handle that cold.
Very tough. The Kashmir stags, spotted deer, wild sheep, jackrabbit, Tibetan antelope, yak, the snow leopard, and the rare red panda. They all have thick fur and specialized blood to handle the cold and the thin air.
I see a PYQ connection right here. Source 20 CSP1, question 77.
Ah, yes. The musk deer question. It asks to identify the most likely places to find the musk deer in its natural habitat. The options are Ascot Wildlife Sanctuary, Gangotri National Park, Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary, and Manas National Park.
Okay, let's break this down. Where does the musk deer live? What's its address?
The musk deer is an animal of the high altitudes, the montane and alpine zones. So Gangotri is high in the Himalayas and Uttarakhand. Ascot is also a high-altitude sanctuary in the Himalayas, also in Uttarakhand. So those two definitely fit the montane profile.
What about Manas?
Manas is in Assam. It's a tiger reserve, an elephant reserve, a biosphere reserve, but it's at the foothills. It is tropical and subtropical. You will not find the high-altitude musk deer there. So just by understanding the vegetation zone of the animal, linking the animal to the forest type, you can eliminate Manas. This is exactly how you solve questions when you don't know the precise answer. You use the logic of the map.
That is a pro tip. Know the animal's address.
Okay, finally, the last vegetation type, mangrove forests. These are highly specialized forests. They live in coastal areas. They're influenced by tides. Mud and silt accumulate on these coasts, and the roots of the plants are actually submerged underwater. They are essentially amphibious trees.
Where do we find them?
In the deltas of the major rivers, the Ganga, the Mahanadi, the Krishna, the Godavari, and the Kaveri. Basically, anywhere fresh water meets salt water and silt builds up.
And the most famous one has to be?
The Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta. This is the home of the Sundari trees, which provide this incredibly durable, hard timber. And of course, it's the home of the Royal Bengal tiger.
Wait, tigers in mangroves? I always picture them in dry forests or tall grass. That's incredible.
That's the beauty of the Royal Bengal tiger. It's highly adaptable. The Sundarbans tigers are famous swimmers. They actually hunt in the water. You also find turtles, crocodiles, and gharials in these waters. It's a very dangerous but very rich ecosystem.
Okay, so we've mapped the forests, but India isn't just about timber, it's about medicine. The source text has a whole section called medicinal plants.
This is the medicine cabinet of nature. India has always been known for its herbs and spices. Ayurveda describes 2,000 plants, and at least 500 are in regular use. This isn't just folklore. It's an active pharmacological heritage.
But there's a warning label here too, isn't there?
Yes, a big one. The IUCN Red List has named 352 medicinal plants. Of those, 52 are critically threatened and 49 are endangered. We are losing the pharmacy before we've even fully explored it. We are literally burning the library before we've had a chance to read the books.
Let's do a rapid-fire round. I'll name a plant from the NCERT list. You tell me what it cures. You ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
Sarpaganda.
Used to treat blood pressure. And interestingly, it is found only in India. That is a potential prelim statement right there. Sarpaganda is endemic to India. That's true.
Jamun.
The fruit is good for digestion, but it's the seed powder that's used for controlling diabetes. It helps regulate blood sugar.
Arjun.
The fresh juice of its leaves is a cure for earache. It's also used to regulate blood pressure. The leaves are used as a cure for eye sores. And its gum is used as a tonic. The very hardy plant you find in dry areas.
Neem.
The classic. It has antibiotic and antibacterial properties.
Right.
We use it for everything from skincare to organic pesticides.
We'll see.
Is there an Indian household without it? It's used to cure cough and cold, a great immune booster.
And Kashnar.
That's used to cure asthma and ulcers. The buds are also good for digestion.
It's amazing. These aren't just weeds growing on the side of the road. They are complex chemical factories.
Precisely. And that brings us to the wildlife. We've talked about the plants, but the sheer volume of animals is just incredible. 90,000 animal species, 2,000 bird species, that's 13% of the world's total, 2,546 fish species, that's 12% of the world's stock. That means more than 1 in 10 fish species on Earth is found in Indian waters.
We mentioned the rhinos and the camels, but there is a specific brag that India has when it comes to the big cats.
That's right. India is the only country in the world that has both tigers and lions in the wild. Africa has lions, but no tigers. Other Asian countries have tigers, but no lions. We have both.
Wait, really? The only one? That is a cool stat, but they don't live together, do they? Like, they aren't neighbors.
No. No, definitely not. They have very different addresses. The natural habitat of the Indian lion is the Gir forest in Gujarat, which is a dry, scrubby forest. The tigers, on the other hand, are found in the forests of Madhya Pradesh, the Sundarbans of West Bengal, and the Himalayan region. They don't overlap. They have different ecological preferences.
But all this wealth, it's under attack.
Relentlessly, hunting for commercial purposes poaching is still a massive issue. Pollution, acid deposits, the introduction of alien species that choke out native ones, and just the reckless cutting of forests. We've already lost species like the cheetah in India, though efforts are now underway to reintroduce them. But the list of endangered species is growing every year.
So what is the government doing about it? The Wildlife Protection Act was passed in 1972, right?
Yes, that was the real turning point. It provided a legal framework for conservation. And since then, a whole network has been built. We have 103 national parks, 535 wildlife sanctuaries. But the crown jewels of the system are the biosphere reserves.
And there are 18 of them in total.
Correct. Biosphere reserves are these large areas where conservation involves the local communities and focuses on sustainable development. It's a holistic approach. And 10 of these have been included in the World Network of Biosphere Reserves. This is super important for prelims. You need to know which ones are on that international list. The NCERT lists them. Sundarbans, Nanda Devi, Gulf of Mannar, Nilgiri, Nokrek, Great Nicobar, Manas, Simlipal, Pachmarhi, and Akanakmaro Amarkantak.
Memorize that list, folks. Creative mnemonic. It's free marks if you get it right. Okay, we have covered the chapter, but now it's time for the real deep dive. Part 5, the PYQ and mains linkage. This is where we see if we can actually answer the questions the UPSC throws at us.
Let's look at the source PDF 13CSP1. Question 32. This is a match the pair question about national parks and the rivers flowing through them. This tests if your mental map is high resolution.
Okay, let's dissect it. Pair 1, Corbett National Park matched with Ganga.
And this is a tricky one, a classic trap. The NCERT map shows Corbett in Uttarakhand. And while the Ganga does flow through Uttarakhand, the river that is strictly associated with Corbett, the one that defines its geography, is the Ramganga. The Ramganga is a tributary of the Ganga, yes, but saying Ganga flows through Corbett is geographically imprecise. The UPSC expects you to know the primary river. This is a trap for people who just know Corbett is in the north.
Pair 2, Kaziranga National Park matched with Manas.
This one is just definitely wrong. Kaziranga is famous for the rhino, and it's located on the banks of the mighty Brahmaputra River. The Manas River flows through, well, Manas National Park. There are two different parks in Assam. One is on the Brahmaputra floodplains, that's Kaziranga, and the other is up on the Bhutan border, that's Manas. So this pair is incorrect.
And pair 3, Silent Valley National Park matched with Kaveri.
Another trap. Silent Valley is in Kerala. The river that originates there is the Kuntapuzha. It flows into the Thorn Basin, not the Kaveri Basin. The Kaveri is a major river, but it doesn't flow through Silent Valley. So looking at the options in the source, none of these pairs seem perfectly, strictly correct. This just highlights why you need to map rivers to parks specifically, not just regions. You can't just say, oh, it's in the south, so it must be the Kaveri.
That is so detailed. Okay, let's look at another one. Source, 20 CSP1, question 75. It asks about a protected area, well known for a subspecies of Indian swamp deer, the Barasinga, that thrives on hard ground and is exclusively graminivorous.
This is a beautiful question because it tests such specific knowledge. Graminivorous just means grass-eating. Hard ground is the key. The swamp deer, as the name suggests, usually likes swamps. But there is a subspecies that adapted to the hard ground of central India.
And the options are Kanha, Manas, Mudumalai, and Talchapar.
And the answer is Kanha National Park. Kanha is famous for saving the hard ground Barasinga from the brink of extinction. It's the classic success story of conservation in Madhya Pradesh. Manas is swampy in Assam. Talchapar is for blackbuck in Rajasthan. Mudumalai is in the south. So Kanha is the only logical match. If you knew the story of the Barasinga conservation, this was an easy one.
One more prelims nugget before we go to mains. Source 13 CSP1, question 93. It asks about biofertilizers. The options are agaricus, nostoc, and spirogyra.
Right. This links back to that non-flowering plants section of the NCERT where it mentions algae and fungi. Agaricus is a mushroom, so that's a fungi. Spirogyra is a green algae. But nostoc is a blue-green algae or cyanobacteria that can fix atmospheric nitrogen. And that ability is what makes it a biofertilizer. This shows how a single line in the NCERT about algae and fungi can expand into a real science question.
Now, let's widen the lens to mains. The Source 25Gs1 has some really heavy questions. Question 19, bring out the relationship between shrinking Himalayan glaciers and symptoms of climate change in the Indian subcontinent.
This connects directly to our discussion on montane vegetation. We talked about how vegetation changes with altitude. Well, if the glaciers shrink and temperatures rise, that alpine zone pushes higher up the mountain, the snow line recedes. This directly affects the river flows that sustain the tropical deciduous forests down in the plains. The vegetation is the thermometer of climate change. If the alpine zone shrinks, the water security of the plains is threatened. The forests downstream rely on that meltwater during the dry season.
And question 20 asks about tribal development versus displacement.
We touched on this. We have 103 national parks. But those parks were often homes to tribal communities. The NCERT mentions nomadic tribes like the Gujars in the mountains. When we draw a line on a map and say, this is a park no humans allowed, we create a conflict between conservation and human rights. That is a major theme for GS Paper 1 and 3. You cannot write an answer about forests without writing about the people who live in them.
And finally, question 24 evaluates the various resources of the oceans.
Mangroves. Mangroves are the bridge between the land and the ocean. They are nurseries for countless fish species. The NCERT mentions that India has rich fish biodiversity in both fresh and marine waters. Mangroves are a crucial bioresource for that. If you're writing an answer about ocean resources, you must mention the coastal vegetation that sustains the fish stocks.
It's all connected, the map, the rain, the trees, the animals, and the humans.
That is the big takeaway. The green map isn't just a static picture. It's a dynamic, incredibly fragile system.
So we've learned that the southern slopes of the Himalayas are greener, that Kana saved the deer, and that no stock fixes nitrogen.
We did. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought that's found right there in the insert. It asks a simple question. What will happen if plants and animals disappear? Can human beings survive?
It sounds dramatic.
It is, but it's real. We just talked about medicinal plants. If we lose biodiversity, we don't just lose a pretty view. We lose the cure for the next pandemic. We lose the pollinators for our crops. We lose the mangroves that stop tsunamis. Biodiversity isn't a luxury. It's our life support system.
That is a powerful place to wrap up. We aren't just studying for an exam. We are studying the manual for our own survival.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line.
All right, friends, that's it for this deep dive into India's green map. If you found value in this breakdown, please subscribe to Simplified UPSC by PPP. We're trying to build a real community here.
And please consider supporting us on Patreon so we can keep these deep dives coming. And a massive shout out again to all our supporters. You truly make this possible.
Don't forget to like and comment. And remember, those free notes and PYQs are waiting for you on the public Telegram channel.
And for the full premium experience, all videos, organized premium notes, extra PYQs, and model mains answers, you can join our private Telegram library. Just DM us on the public channel to join.
Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and respect the wild.
Goodbye.